Hey folks, how you doing? It's Carpo, here to say that I'm not a teacher. That term, I've heard people use that. I'm not a teacher. And I heard a few people say I'm not a guru. I've heard a lot of people say people who are providing news too will say, don't believe what I say, do the homework for yourselves. And I was considering how the idea that a good guru will never charge a person money to teach them the ways if they truly understand what it means to be a guru. In other words, a person who has supposedly attained the degree of being a guru in the East would, by his very nature, be enlightened enough to not need money or not charge any more than is necessary for, say, basic living expenses. If a person is doing nothing but teaching people, well, the person has to eat, so obviously he might charge this menial sum for his services, if anything at all. But for the most part, it's done for free. So I started considering the gurus of the West. And the gurus of the West are the scientists. And I realized this after considering the aspect that a good guru would never expect to get paid. But a scientist would have no problem getting paid for his efforts. The differences between a guru and a scientist are, well, extraordinarily different, obviously. But the similarities that I'm looking for, not necessarily a guru, that's the term I'm using, but a spiritual teacher of one way or another. A person who has spent a large amount of their life studying the mind and the spirit through experience rather than the scientific method. Or should I say, scientists have a scientific method that allows them to be confirmed by other scientists. A spiritual experience can never be confirmed by another spiritualist. You can say it's the same, but if you can't see it, people are less likely to believe it. So, for example, if two people say they both attained enlightenment, or whatever degree of whatever they're involved in, neither one of them would ever know what the other one really knew. And these people would never, I guess they wouldn't get paid because it's not part of a spiritual life to accept money for knowledge. But part of a scientific and the Western mindset in the materialist world is that we're more than willing to accept payment for anything that we can. So, it brings up a quandary for a person in the West who, say, a person wants to take up philosophy as a major, let's say in school. Complete waste of time, because what are you going to do with that? All you can do is teach philosophy. So rather than having people who can go out and experience, say a person who takes philosophy, then goes out and spends years philosophizing, and then helps to write the new chapter for philosophy for the next school year, or something of that sort. But we don't study that kind of philosophy. Modern day philosophy is not considered valid because the ancient philosophy is what matters, because they wrote it down then, and most of the archetypes and allegories were covered. And it's hard to come up with a new slogan or a new idea. And I've always found it humorous, most of these sayings and quotes from famous people, like presidents, prestigious folks, whatever. They're very mundane and obvious. I mean, there are very few, like, do not allow yourself to be taken advantage of, and a nation should rise up if they are, facing tyranny. I mean, all these things are just, gung-ho, that's great. Just like the ancient philosophers, to be or not to be, or, I think, therefore I am. The idea is that all of these are archetypes that have been repeated over and over again. And these people who attain credit for these things in history It's almost like that piece of history is gone. We look at it like we look at it as a novelty, something that happened then, but something we don't continue now. Now, I could compare this directly to give you a better example. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ came, said that he was the Son of God. They said, no, you aren't. He said, yes, I am. In his way, we're all the sons of God. Blah, yada, yada. Under the law that he was penalized under, it claims that we are all part of God. So, people take Jesus and what he said literally, even though there were very few people who had witnessed what had happened. It wasn't exactly something that was documented right away, and they didn't, you know what I'm saying. I'm not going to go into the details. Point being that Jesus said he would return. So if Jesus were to return today and perform the same sort of miracles that he performed then, would people believe it's Jesus? No way. You'd be branded a heretic. Most Christians, they wouldn't really believe it if Jesus came back as that same kind of person. People have claimed to be Jesus since Jesus. And it's the same thing over and over again, is that if a person's born saying they're, even they have powers or eccentric abilities, or maybe they're very, very deep thinkers, they're put away, chastised, and basically deemed as unfit for society because they think too much or they go against the grain of society. So we want some savior to come pull us out of our bad situation. But if anyone comes around preaching, they better watch out, unless they're telling us what we want to hear, right? So science has become our God in the West, and we trust the scientists. We trust their method, even though they may just be just as skewed as a lot of religions because they're willing to alter their findings in order to fit their data. I mean, this isn't anything new. This has been proven over and over again. I'm not here to argue for or against religion or science. I'm saying that they're two sides of the same coin, and we've separated them so far, yet science was originally devised as a method for proving religion in a way. So today, we have no recognition of people who have any type of insight. We revere some Eastern philosophers that maybe write a couple books, and we think that's great. There's a few people here in the U.S. who can get away with, writing spiritual teachings in a format that American public can actually handle. But nobody wants to hear the truth. And if the truth was preached, nobody would listen. Because the truth requires that each person be part of the whole, and to realize that they are them, that you are you, and that each one of us is independent yet part of the whole, and that there is no answer written that you can write down about life. There is no game plan of the universe that you can understand in your human form. There is no way to prove or disprove that Jesus Christ was the Son of God. There's no way to prove or disprove that you reincarnate. Because no matter what kind of proof a person has brought, there will always be somebody who disputes it. So that brings us down to the basic point that each one of us has to know our own truth and have our own point of view that's based on reason, that's based on intellect, and that's based on years and years of work. It's not something that you just stand up and say, all right, I'm going to be a philosopher and I'm just going to start thinking about all this stuff and I'm going to process it all and then I'm just going to live in the moment. You know, you can't just read a book and become a different person, nor can you have an idea and change everything about you. You will eventually, your tide might come in, but it's eventually going to go back out, and that's the cycle. You're going to have to go through many cycles until you can get to the point where you can stop in the middle of the day. Sit down, like I did about 10 minutes ago. That's what kind of inspired me for this video. I was done working, I sat down in the garage, I was looking at the computer. It's kind of this haggard tower computer where the side's off, it's all loud, it's got a fan blowing on it. I was kind of staring at that, and I went into this Satori state. I love to, Satori is an awakening, but I see it, I have many Satoris, it's kind of my little joke. I realized that at that moment, because my wife was worried about a bill that we had to pay, or something. I could hear her in there going, darn it, because it wasn't paid on time, and I thought about it for a moment, just a brief moment. Oh, darn, the bill's due, oh well. And I realized that none of it matters. None of it. Not a single damn thing, except for you, your loved ones, the world around you. None of the details matter. The insignificant things. You may not have money this week. That sucks. If you can't eat, that's a different story. But if we have our basic needs met, we need to step back and be thankful for everything that we have. Everything. My house is way too small for a family of 5 plus a dog and 3 cats. It's like 900 square feet. Hell, my kid's moving out, I think, next month, and he's going to get a house or an apartment that's like almost another half as big as our house. But you know, I'm happy in it. Because I have more than I could have. But it doesn't matter what I have. And see, that's where it all falls back into ego. It doesn't matter what you have. You have to be thankful for what you have, but that's an egotistical approach to it. That's saying, well, I'm thankful because I have this stuff. It's just a different way to look at it, but it's irrelevant, all of it. You're fed, your body's telling you you're not hungry, temperature's okay. Chill out, look around, do what you need to do. Obviously, if you're feeling well enough to just relax, if you've provided the work that you should be doing in order to function, you can't exclude yourself from this society, no matter how hard you try. You can't become an independent thinker and just wander off into the hills. It doesn't work like that. You have to incorporate it, everything, into your daily life. And so, back to the spiritual teacher, you can't expect anyone to come save you or bail you out. And having a guru is another excuse for people to say, I have somebody to show me the way. Good Zen gurus, and they will basically, if you ask them a question, they'll pose another question. That's the way of Zen, because it's for you to figure out. Nobody can answer that for you. It doesn't matter how much you think you understand it. It's like if 2 people listen to a song and interpret the lyrics and the meaning behind it differently. Or watch a movie, and a person may get this crazy idea of what it really meant or what the person meant, and the person will be like, what? I have no idea what you're talking about. We develop little stories in our head, so we can never teach anyone else how to be who they are. All we can do is try to open the gate to help people to accept who they are. That's why I like guys like Alan Watts, because he says, hey, I'm not a guru, I'm not your teacher, I'm just a guy here. I'm just here. Here I am. You're here watching me. Whatever. I don't feel separate from humanity at all. It's harder and harder. I mean, it's easier and easier, and each day it is difficult to try to assimilate that lifestyle and understand that you're connected to even that person you don't look up at in the store, or the person that you want to say hi to but don't. People are just embarrassed because they don't want to be seen as an outcast. And I think being an outcast is awesome. Some people do take it to the extreme. Some people go too far with it. A lot of folks, when they're, especially in their teens and early 20s, that are really intelligent, they'll kind of extricate themselves and become, say, street punks. You see a lot of those street punks out there? Those are smart kids. They're not dumbasses wearing leather jackets. A lot of them are just dumbasses, just like anybody else. But a lot of them are really intelligent people that just can't cope with the system, haven't learned how to assimilate their knowledge. They think they're superior to the system. And this happens a lot when you're young. It's part of growing. You think that you're superior because you see people around you that appear really dumb. And as if they're completely asleep, they don't understand anything. Then you grow up and you realize that those people do understand. But they've moved beyond that obsessed running around looking at everything like, oh my God, this is wrong, this is wrong. You grow out of that, hopefully, and start to just relax, look around, see what's around you. If it's a nice day, appreciate the nice day. Don't worry about that it's going to rain tomorrow. So, namaste everybody. Have a great evening, morning, whatever it may be. Over and out.